Well, welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We encourage you to visit our website, our YouTube page, and follow us on Facebook. That way you can stay up to date on all of the latest cruises that we're hosting or have great pricing on. So stay up to date. And we want to thank you so much for coming. So whether you're attending live or watching the recording, welcome, welcome, welcome. So here is a quick agenda. We're going to talk to you about why you, our valued clients, are really the heart of our agency. We're going to discover Avalon Waterways. And then we're going to talk about this exciting itinerary, beautiful scenery, just amazing cultures that you're going to visit all the way from Amsterdam to Lake Como. And then we're going to talk about why Avalon Waterways is the ideal choice for your next river cruise. And then you're going to enjoy exclusive promotions and pricing from us. And we're excited to share that with you when you see what a great deal we have on our group pricing that we've locked in. I know you'll be super excited, and then we'll have questions and answers. So thank you so much for joining us. And let's just talk about it. So we've been in business for almost 13 years now. And we have just really taken pride in helping to handcraft vacation experiences with our guests in mind. Um, our passion is really crafting those exceptional experiences for our clients. And that's one of the reasons we put together these group cruises is that it not only gives us a chance to go along with you and host the cruise and be there with you to make sure that every aspect of your vacation is exceeding expectation, but it also allows us to pick destinations and highlight destinations that people may not realize are wonderful places to visit, and they're places that we know that our clients would love to visit and see and to enjoy. Steve and I are really explorers at heart. We travel a lot, and we use our experience as travelers to help craft these wonderful vacations for our clients. Having that firsthand experience in so many of the places that we send our clients to really helps us to give them insider tips and to make sure that they are going to have an experience again that exceeds expectations. Um, and we understand the importance of quality travel experiences because we're avid travelers ourselves. We are so thankful we have very reliable internet, whether it be on the river or the ocean. And this has allowed us in the last 5 or 6 years to be able to travel and run our business from anywhere in the world. That again gives us that firsthand knowledge that we pass on to our clients again as exceptional vacation experiences. So no matter where we are in the world, we are always just a phone call away, and we are here to help you. So we specialize in planning a lot of group cruises, including we do wine groups, we do friends and family groups, and this one is an escorted group. We love sailing with our clients. I will tell you that some of the clients that I have sailed with over the years have become some of my very best friends, and we really think of them as family more than clients. Our priority is again to ensure that every moment of the trip is exceeding your expectations, and that if you need assistance or have any questions, we are there to help you. If we're not on the trip with you, we try to make sure we get all that stuff put in place before, and we're even available while you're on your trip to reach out to us if you need any help with anything. I myself am an Avalon Waterways specialist. I've been certified as an Avalon specialist for about 8 years now. I'm also certified with their two sister brands, which you may have heard of. They are touring brands with Coach Tours, Globus and Cosmos. I always believe that partnering with quality suppliers is the best way to ensure that my clients get a quality experience. And one of the reasons we partner with Avalon is that they are such a highly rated river cruise line. They were voted in 2022 the USA Today's Reader's Choice Award for Best River Cruise Line. And they also won the Cruise Critic Award recently for Best River Cruise Line. And I'm going to show you a little bit more about them, but we'll talk about the highlights. So one of the things that makes Avalon so wonderful is all their inclusions. Of course, you get your 3 meals a day. You get complimentary international boutique wines um, during lunch and dinner. You can even have a mimosa at breakfast if we would like one. You get a choice of tours in most sports. It's not just one cookie cutter tour, but most sports, they give you a choice of one or two included tours, as well as often an active tour that you can do either instead of or in addition to your regular tour. They have a daily happy hour. So during the hour before dinner, where your cruise manager is doing their presentation, you get complimentary drinks during this time. They have the largest standard accommodations, of course, things like daily housekeeping. You have a tour manager that stays with you from your pre through the cruise and your post. So you have that one person that is helping manage all of the quality aspects of your cruise. And then in each port, they have local experts that do the local tours. So you get both that tour manager that's on there for the long haul, and then in each port, you get these local experts that really know the ins and outs of each town. Rather than having me explain it to you, let's let actor Graham McTavish tell us a little bit more about Avalon
There may be
Waterways.
comfort in the usual, but true discovery and remarkable experiences are the rewards for the curious. They are the gifts that reside beyond the ordinary. Welcome aboard Avalon. Smaller ships, bigger experiences, fewer people, more of everything, right at your fingertips. And you wake up in the best staterooms in the business, to a new port every day, right in the heart of great cities, with nothing but possibilities ahead. Driven by out-of-the-box thinking and a relentless pursuit of better, Avalon heard the siren song to elevate cruising, and they have. So if you believe that life is worth living, not looking, memories are worth making, that better stories need better settings, and that we could all use a little different, you're ready for an Avalon cruise. Cruising elevated.
It's just a great little video that kind of gives you a good feel of what makes Avalon so different. I'll go into some more details, but this is our itinerary. This is the romantic Rhine with Lucerne and Lake Como. And in this presentation, I have tried to include as many of my own pictures as I could. So this is that famous castle in the middle of the river, and I got a picture of it when we were on an Avalon cruise in September, passing by that. Just absolutely stunning views through that Rhine Gorge, which is one of my favorite highlights of that portion of the cruise. So we talked a little bit about the differences in the presentation that Graham McTavish did, but you have those three different choices of excursions. You get the classic, the discovery, and the active, and that really sets them apart from the leading competitor, which only offers one kind of cookie cutter excursion per port that's included, and anything else you have to pay extra for. Let's look at our itinerary. So we start in Amsterdam. Let's see where that is. And then we go up the river, we go through Germany, and then we go through this section that is France on one side and Germany on the other. And then we end up our cruise in Basel. And then the rest of that part is an extension via a coach tour. And I mentioned that Avalon is a sister brand of Globus. Globus has been doing coach tours in Europe for over 100 years now. So they really have that expertise and the ground knowledge to make it a wonderful experience. So we start our cruise in Amsterdam, which is known as the Venice of the North. And one of the exciting things is that during this time of year in April, tulip season is going to be in full swing. So you have the option. Now, this is one of the ones where there is an optional tour. It's a guided tour to the Keukenhof Gardens, and you'll be able to see the millions and millions of tulips there. And the reason that's optional is that that tour is not offered every single cruise from Amsterdam, because it's only available during tulip season. But if you want to do the standard excursions, there is a discovery tour where you do a walk and guiding tour of Amsterdam. And then there's a classic excursion where you're going to go on one of those little tourist canal boats and go through the little canals, the waterways of Amsterdam. And again, they have some of the optional excursions that will take you to other places. Whenever you see the word optional, that means there's an additional charge. But when it says discovery or classic, if it doesn't have the optional, there's no charge for the choice. So next we head on to Cologne, Germany. And there is an active excursion where you can do a bike ride, or you can do the discovery excursion, which is going to be a guided walking tour through the Jewish heritage sites. And the classic excursion, you're going to see the main highlights of the city Cologne. You're going to see that beautiful cathedral with its twin towers, and you get to spend some free time with some pale ale, some that's locally brewed for over 100 years. And later that evening, the plan is to have some local musicians join us on board for some live entertainment. And that's one of the other nice things about river cruising is that the entertainment is often local. They come on board, the ship might be sailing, they sail a certain segment of the river, we pull over, they jump off the ship, and they have a ride waiting to take them back to their hometown. It's really interesting to see how those entertainers that work the river ships handle the logistics. But next is maybe my favorite part, that Rhine Gorge scenic sailing. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And UNESCO stands for United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. And their whole mission is to preserve places that are of unique beauty. If they designate something to be a World Heritage Site, it means you can't really do anything to change it. You can fix it up, but you can't drastically change it. So this whole area is, it takes about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to sail through this gorge. And I don't know how many castles you see, but there's one, because basically back in the Middle Ages, those castles were toll booths. So every rich landowner built a castle so he could collect the tolls from the merchants that were traveling along the river. Next, we're going to head to Rudesheim. And again, this is my own picture. We took this while we did the little cable car ride up the hill. So you can either hike in this area with your active adventure host, very picturesque, or you can do a discovery excursion, which is going to be a guided tour of the mechanical musical instrument museum. But you can also do what we did, which was we rode the cable car up to the top of the mountain, enjoyed the views, came back down, and then tried some of the wonderful white wines that Rudesheim is known for. I think we also had a beer too. It's a quaint little town, and there's a tasting room on every corner. So next we're headed on to Mons, Germany, but this is our stepping point to go to Heidelberg. The Heidelberg is on a different river, and it's a little complicated to get there via the river and the lock system. So we dock in Mons, and you can take a full day excursion to see Heidelberg, where of course you can see the old university area, the ruined castle. There is an active adventure walking tour in Heidelberg where you'd go along the Philosopher's Way. So beautiful ways to enjoy Heidelberg. But you know what? If you don't want to take an all-day excursion, look how cute the town of Mons is. There's those little half-timbered buildings and just the kind of quaint things that you associate with the part of Germany that just looks like it comes from a storybook. So next, we're going to dock in Kiel with excursions to Strasbourg. And this is actually where we docked the last time we were in Strasbourg. It's maybe about a 10-minute ride from town. So if you wanted to not take a formal excursion, it would be possible to just take a transfer or a taxi into town and explore on your own. But you will have a wonderful guided tour of of the city. And of course, there's a big statue of Gutenberg there, known for his printing press. And this area right here is called La Petite France. It is just the cutest little area. There is a little tourist boat that goes through there. And then the cathedral, these are some pictures of the stained glass windows in the beautiful cathedral there. Strasbourg just looks like it came out, again, out of a fairy tale. Beautiful little town to visit. So then we'll head on to Breisach, Germany. And this town itself is pretty cute. It's got cathedrals and vineyards and the whole deal. But this is the day where you get that Black Forest culture. So if you want to go out, there's an outdoor, basically it's an architectural museum and historical museum. They have these amazing Black Forest architecture houses that were built specifically for the weather and the climate that was there. And you can see like a water mill, a butter making demonstration. the old historic parts of the Black Forest. But if you want to do Freiburg, that's also an option. And you can go into the medieval center. You can see some of the Black Forest vineyards and some of the Upper Rhine Valley. Now, there is another optional excursion that goes to the village of Colmar. We were able to go to Colmar. It was an included excursion in the Christmas markets cruise. I can tell you, it's absolutely adorable little town. But you know what? Strasbourg doesn't look that much different from it. So it just, it depends on your taste and what you really want to experience. Again, Colmar was absolutely quaint, but not a big difference between it and Strasbourg. So the Black Forest would be another kind of unique region to go visit during that part of the cruise. So then we disembark. Now, if you are doing cruise only, you're going to disembark in Basel. You could stay a couple days in Basel, do whatever you want, or you could get off the ship and fly. And just so you know, there is a nice airport in Basel, and it has direct flights to London Heathrow. So that makes it very easy to connect. There's flights from London Heathrow to almost every major city in the US. So it really, you can make it a one connection itinerary to fly back home. And Amsterdam, there's a lot of nonstop flights from the US. So you could maybe do nonstop or one connection going to Amsterdam and then coming home, Basel to Heathrow, and then back home from there. There may even be some other airports, I would imagine Frankfurt, depending on your airline of your choice, where you might make a connection someplace else in Europe. But for those of us that are doing the extension, so there is on disembarkation day, you're going to head to Lucerne on a coach, and you're either going to visit Mount Pilatus or Mount Stanzerhorn, depending on seasonal availability, depending on the weather. And just in case it's really bad weather, you go to the Swiss Transport Museum. So they have contingencies for everything. And in Lucerne, you're going to see the historic Heart of the Lion Bridge, and you're going to be able to take a classic walking guided tour of Lucerne, and it's going to include that lion monument and the chapel bridge. Lake Como. So en route to Lake Como, we're going to stop in Lugano, and we'll get a guided sightseeing tour of this charming Swiss city. And then we continue on to Lake Como, to the town of Como, which bears its name. So in Como, this is later in the afternoon, we get a guided walking tour, and this might be the next day, because I think we get there the first night, we spend the night there, and then we have the walking tour the next day. So, or if you want to do a little boat ride on the lake, that's a classic excursion that's also included. And it may be that we can probably do both. Just depends on the scheduling. Then we have a free day in Lake Como. So this is going to be your chance to explore on your own, maybe check out some of the local cuisine. Maybe you could even book a cooking class or a riverboat trip. Yeah, this is your day to explore on your own. And if you're looking for something to do and needing some suggestions, I'm here to help with figuring out what you're going to do on that day. So the next day, wake up in Lake Como, and that ends your tour. Most people will take a transfer down to Milan and fly from there. That is the closest airport from this area. But we can help you with the logistics of all of that. And you can either fly back home or maybe spend some extra time in Europe, however you want to do it. I'm here to help make sure that it's customized to the way you want to spend your vacation. So now that we know where we're going, I think it's important to know how we're going to get there. And Avalon has some of the most innovative river ships in Europe, and I'll show you why. So if you kind of look at all river ships, they're all, most part with a few exceptions, pretty much the same size, the same shape. They have to fit below all the bridges, and they have to fit through the locks, and the locks are kind of a standard size. They were made for barges to go through. So the way they use that space is where it sets up the difference between cruise lines. And to explain to you the way that Avalon has decided to use the space, which is ingenious, I have a little video to show you.
The sweet ships of Avalon, designed from the ground up with an attention to detail river cruising has never seen before. There's nothing quite like river cruising no matter who you cruise with, but there are some pretty big differences between companies, starting with how they look at staterooms. And our one-of-a-kind panorama suite is proof of our innovation, our imagination, and our desire to create a smarter use of space. To give you some perspective of how much better our staterooms are, we're comparing them to the average river cruise cabin. Here's the average window, roughly 7 feet wide, with an opening under 4 feet. Here's our window, nearly 11 feet wide, floor to ceiling, wall to wall. And when it opens, it really opens, wide enough to let the outside in, because the opening is a full 7 feet, almost twice the size of the others. It's the largest standard window in river cruising. Now, let's take a look at the bed of the average cabin. It faces the wall, not much to look at there. We had a much better idea. What if we angled the wall and turned the bed? That little change gives you the perfect perspective of the amazing views out your window. We then turned our attention to the balcony. Here's the average river cruise balcony. Seems like a nice idea, but as far as we can tell, there's not a lot of room for people to enjoy the views out there. And they had to take space from your stateroom to create that small deck space outside. So here's our better idea. Reclaim that space, push the window out, add a spacious dining and seating area for up to 6 adults, combine it with the largest sliding glass door in the business, and voila, you have an open-air balcony, the only one of its kind in river cruising, and you can enjoy it day and night, no matter the weather. Plus, you'll enjoy a lot more livable space, a full 200 square feet. We gave our room an attention to detail unmatched in the industry. We offer comfort collection beds, plenty of easily accessible storage, and we even added sound dampening insulation in our walls to make it less likely you'll hear your neighbors or they'll hear you. And we didn't stop with the room. We turned that same attention to detail to the bathroom. We took a look at the bathroom of the average ship and we knew we could do better. By angling the wall, we opened up more space in the bathroom. Then we took our newfound space and we made it luxurious. We have a large tile shower with glass doors, marble countertops, premium fixtures, L'Occitane bath amenities, and shelves to store all your necessities. And the best part is that there aren't just a couple of these staterooms on our ships, reserved for those who want to pay more. 80% of the staterooms on our suite ships are panorama suites. And once you leave your suite, you're likely to find fewer people on our suite ships. Because with our bigger staterooms, there is less capacity for passengers, which means more space everywhere you go. As you can see, more has gone into the amazing panorama suites, so you can get so much more out of them. We invite you to compare, and you'll see there's no comparison.
My clients that sail Avalon tell me that they absolutely love those rooms. So she just said there's no comparison, but I like to do this little side by side because this shows the Avalon Panorama Suite next to the leading competitors' suites. So, or staterooms. That if you can see, this is about 150 square feet interior plus the exterior balcony. And the French balcony that's below is again about that 100, oops, I meant to go, didn't mean to change slides, is about that same size. This is the Avalon. Look how big the bathroom is. Steve, my husband, is kind of a bigger guy, and he says it's the best shower in cruising. And believe me, we've cruised in all kinds of cruise ships, from luxury all-suite cruise ships to river cruising, and that shower really is a game changer. I like the writing desk, and there's a mirror behind here. So when I'm working at my desk, I can see what's behind me on the river by looking in the mirror. There really is a smart layout of the room and so much more square footage in your room. Now, here's the other thing is that Avalon carries about 168 passengers on the same size ship that the leading competitor carries 198 passengers. And believe me, those 30 extra passengers, there's more public space on the Avalon ship and fewer people. So it really does make for a much more comfortable sailing experience. Here's a picture of one of my pictures of my own panorama suite. I wish I had had the curtains opened all the way up. We just didn't push them all the way back so you could see how wide that window is, but very nice room. And here's a look at that bathroom. You get that very wide sink, plus there's plenty of counter space on both sides of the sink and that large shower. It really makes it very comfortable for your 7 days on board the ship. This is a look at the lower level cabins. These are laid out a little bit different, a little bit less expensive and a little bit smaller, but still 172 square feet. That's bigger. That 172 square foot lower level cabin is bigger than the French balconies on that lead-in competitor. So it really is, it gives you, it's more spacious, more comfortable. On the aft of the ship, they have this lovely panorama lounge that, no, this isn't the panorama lounge. This is the aft lounge. But you can't see it in this picture. You can see it a little bit here. There's a window here. And all along this wall, there are windows. That's the back of the ship. And then all along the other side, there's windows. On some of the competitor ships, this area is suites. It's the two largest suites that they have. So everyone on the ship can't enjoy this area. And sometimes the best views are behind you on the river. And it can be really nice to sit here, stare at the river. There is outside on the very back, there's a little tiny balcony that is the smoking section. Fewer and fewer people are smoking, but we did have some people in our one of our cruises that were out there and had some cigars one day. And it's on the back so that smoke doesn't bother anybody else, and it doesn't come into this lounge at all. It's completely separate. So very nice, lovely area there on the back of the ship. On the front of the ship, you have this lovely panorama lounge that it has floor to ceiling, wall to wall, glass windows. You can see the whole river from here. This is where your evening entertainment is. This is where your briefings are. This is where the bar is. All the important things happen here. There also is a little bistro at the front, and I'll show you that in the next picture just to show you some of the other features. There's a picture of the main dining room, which again has those windows on both sides. The chefs, the crew, they just do such a wonderful job. Very comfortable seating there. There is a gymnasium on this ship, so it has a treadmill, a couple of pieces of workout equipment, and some free weights. And this is a picture of the Panorama Bistro when it's set up for afternoon tea and snacks. And you can see there is a little bit of seating right here. And the Panorama Bistro, we'll talk about it, but it's also available at dinner time, and I'll talk about how it works for dinner time. So you have some choices. They say you can be seated anytime between 7 p.m. and 8:30, when in reality, everyone goes to dinner at 7 o'clock. You have your briefing with your cruise manager. They tell you what's going to happen for the next day, and then they open the dinner at 7 and everyone goes down there. They can seat everyone there at the same time. But if you want to have it a little bit quieter, you can do the Panorama Bistro, which is the same menu as below. They just bring it up, and I don't know how to explain it, in little glass dishes that are covered, and they're small servings. So you can try a half a serving of this or a half a serving of that, or you can have 2 servings of whatever you like. But it's a great way to have a little bit more relaxed dinner and a little bit less food because it's small portions. Of course, there's unlimited small portions. So if you're really hungry, you can make an excellent meal out of that. And we'll talk a little bit about the Avalon Fresh program and the Sky Grill, which is open sometimes. The Fresh program is their program to have local, fresh, healthy ingredients. So you are eating the food that comes from the region where you're sailing. And that really is what traveling is all about, I think, is you want to have German food when you're in Germany, and you would have French food when you're in France, and not only French food, but you want Alsatian French food, or you want Bavarian French food, Bavarian German food, depending on where you are in the world. And here's some examples of those Avalon Fresh dishes. They do tend to be a little bit vegetable forward, but they certainly do not have to be a vegan to enjoy them. They have a pumpkin strudel, some Wiener Schnitzel, cabbage rolls. Those are just some of the examples. Here's that Bavarian lunch that we had when we were on the Danube. We sailed into Bavaria, and they had this wonderful German lunch for us. And this is something they typically do. Whenever you sail into a new region, they're going to have lunch as whatever represents the culture and the history of that part of the world. They have a daily happy hour, and I alluded to this at the beginning. So they have complimentary house, beer, wine, a drink of the day, and it's usually that 1 hour before the dining room opens. Unlimited servings. You can have your little happy hour, listen to the lecture, go down to dinner, enjoy your beer and wine with dinner, which is complimentary. And as you're finishing up your dinner, they will gladly top off your glass of wine when you go up to the panorama lounge to hear whatever the music, entertainment, or visit with friends, so that you're having your nightcap and not having to get it from the bar. But if you do want to get something from the bar, they're very reasonably priced. They do not sell a beverage package on Avalon Waterways because you don't need one. Everything is very reasonably priced, whether it even be, top shelf liquor or even just a little bit finer wine. It's all reasonably priced. And if you bought a spirits package like they sell with some of the other cruise lines, you would be hard pressed to get to that amount to justify it per day. So they don't even sell an inclusive beverage package because everything is so reasonably priced. So this is what I love about this itinerary is just in one cruise, you get 5 countries. So you're going to have the Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland, France, and Italy. And we have got some great pricing with our group pricing, and I show that on our next slide. So on the left side of this slide, you see this is our pricing. Now, this is total for the suite for 2 people. This is not per person. So divide that by 2 to get your per person price. But this is our price, and then we're going to compare that to the Avalon Direct price. You can see our price is considerably lower, $1,400 to $1,700 lower than what you pay direct. Now, how do I have this? I took out a group contract about a year ago, and I locked in the pricing. And as the ship has started to sell out, the pricing goes up. That's just how it works in river cruising. But because I locked in my group prices with a contract, I was able to lock in these great prices for you. So it's very important that you get booked as soon as possible. They're only so the P, A, and B are all panorama suites. There's plenty of A's left. I think there are about 12 of the A's left on the ship, and there's 6 category P's, but there's only 1 category B left as of today, and like 2 or 3 of each of the category D and E. The D and E are those lower level ones that you saw in the picture that have the fixed windows up above. But B, A, and P, all the panorama suites with that 7-foot wide sliding glass door, and our group prices are locked in. Plus, we have a webinar special. If you book by May 14th, you're going to receive another $50 per person savings off our group fares. And wait, there's more. We've thrown in free prepaid gratuities for all of your staff on the cruise ship. So the only gratuities that are not included are the gratuities for your tour guides and bus drivers. And that is recommended at 1 or 2 euros a day for each of them, depending on the length of the tour. We will be on board again to make sure that everything is exceeding your expectations and to join in the fun with you. And again, I'll have to check and see if they still have an allocation of the single occupancy, but people ask me that all the time. Is there a single supplement? So usually what happens is with a single supplement, you get the standard pricing with no additional discounts. And it usually ends up only being like maybe a 25% single supplement versus the double occupancy price. So it's very reasonable. And then these prices all include that extension to Lucerne and Lake Como. If you sail on the cruise only, so you just want to do the 7-day portion, you still get to take advantage of our group rates on the cruise rate. And you can take $17.99 off of the prices that you see here per person, and that's how you calculate the cruise only rate. So whether you want to do the full itinerary with 11 nights with that Lucerne and Lake Como extension, or just do the Rhine River portion, we have savings for you with our group rates. Now, I did this presentation about 8 months ago, and one of the ladies that attended, she said, "We can't go on your dates. Can you do something for us in August?" And I was able to take out another group in August. Now, we're not escorting that one, but we have similar savings. So if the August date works better for you, I can put you on that cruise. You won't have me along with you, but it'll be, everything else will be wonderful, and you'll also have similar savings. So if August works better for you, let me know. But we'd love to have you join us on our escorted cruise. It's going to be a lot of fun. So just to sum it up, I kind of want to show you where Avalon goes. They go all of, oops, I didn't mean to hit that. They go in all of the rivers of Europe. And they even do the Galapagos, Ganges, the Peruvian Amazon, the Nile, and the Mekong. So they are truly a global company when it comes to river cruising. People ask me, well, can we book air through Avalon? So we should be able to just be able to book it. You know, you have to be inside of 335 days to book the air. But you get to choose your routing and the carrier that best meets your needs. Your transfers are included if you book the Avalon Air, if you come on the brochure arrival and departure dates. So whether that be Amsterdam to Basel or Amsterdam to Lake Como, your transfers are included if you book your air through Avalon on those dates. If you want to do something more exotic and spend extra time in Amsterdam, extra time in Milan, I can put that together for you. I have a couple of other resources where we can quote air. So that's not an issue. If you do the air through Avalon, there's a $300 per person deposit on it. And then you don't have to pay for that in full until 90 days before departure, which is another great thing about Avalon. You don't pay a year or 18 months in advance. You make your final payment 90 days before departure. So you keep your money in your pocket a lot longer than the other leading competitor. 90 days before departure. It's a pretty good deal. Okay, so I always like to let people know that we do more than just Avalon. We work with all the great cruise lines. I like to put it that way. And I'm just going to show you a couple other itineraries that we have specials on, just in case something catches your eye. So we have escorted river cruises this November. We've got one on Avalon that's going to Bordeaux. We did a recorded webinar on April 16th. We only have a couple more days to get that booked at our group rate. So if you're interested in that, call me tomorrow. I'll get you a quote. In November, we are doing Avalon Waterways, which is another wonderful boutique cruise line. And they have a wonderful celebration of wine program on their ships. And we've partnered with an Arizona vintner that is winning all the awards. And he is going to be their celebration of wine host, comparing his wines, which will be shipped to the ship, and the local wines together, and lots of wine tasting experiences. It's going to be wonderful. And then again, of course, we have this cruise on Avalon. We're doing the webinar today on April 29th. So that is being recorded up on YouTube. If you have ever had a desire to go to Antarctica, we have 2 ways to go to Antarctica in 2026. We have a 14-night scenic sailing only. You'll be on one of the big celebrity ships. You will sail through Antarctica and see the scenery. You do not get off and walk around. That is the perfect way to experience Antarctica for some of my clients. But I have we've done that twice with groups, and we had people say, we want to get off, we want to walk around, we want to go in the Zodiacs, we want to really experience Antarctica. So we are escorting an expedition cruise, and you can see the price point for expedition on a 120 passenger ship is quite a bit more than what it is on a big 3,000 passenger ship, but certainly worth the experience to be able to experience all the nature of Antarctica and walk around on the continent. We do have some webinars posted on our YouTube page, or you can call me if you're interested in learning more about that.
You lost the dates on those. Do you remember when the dates were?
Yes. Oh, I switched out slides. Okay, so January 29th, I want to say, for the Celebrity Equinox one. And then we set sail on the expedition on February 22nd, but you need to be in Ushuaia. That's the city in Argentina that you take off from by the 21st. So that's what February 21st through February to March 5th on the Antarctica expedition. We have now, this cruise was sold out 2 weeks ago, and I had somebody who had a schedule change and was not able to go. We have 1 cabin left on our March 6th Wine Lovers cruise. We've sold over 60 cabins on this, and we have a wonderful winemaker from California, Paso Robles area. This is about their 6th cruise that we've partnered with the folks at Ascension Cellars. We have a wonderful relationship with them, and he brings his wines on the ship. We drink the wines on the ship at special events exclusively for the people that are booked into my group. So it's really a neat way to experience a larger celebrity ship with a smaller group. Scandinavian capitals, May 10th of 2026. Guess what, folks? You really want to have an extended time in Europe? You can combine this one with the Amsterdam and to Lake Como cruise. You just get off the ship, fly from Milan to Amsterdam or Rotterdam. You might even be able to fly to Rotterdam from there. And you can do this cruise. I think it requires 1 night hotel stay in between the two. And you're going to see all these wonderful countries. And you add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more countries to your itinerary. So one trip, we had 5 countries. So that gets you up to 12 countries for this. You could do this all in one trip. I will help with all the logistics in between your hotel stays, transfers, everything. I'll make it seamless for you. And
We're doing
then,
both.
yeah, we're doing both. We had some people that booked that Baltic and they really wanted to do Norway. So we added this extension for them. They're going to fly from Amsterdam to Oslo and do this Best of Norway tour through Globus, which is Avalon's sister company. They do great land-based tours as really an exciting itinerary. You do get to see both the mountains and the ocean, and you get to do train rides. It's going to be a fabulous experience for those of you that want to do that. So you can do all 3 of these and get 13 different countries in one trip. It's pretty incredible. And if you're looking for something to do in the fall of 26, we have got another 2 that you can do back to back, where you can do Greece and Turkey. I actually really love Turkish hospitality. I felt so welcomed the 2 days that we spent in Kusadasi a couple years ago on a cruise, and I was like, I would love to go back and see those. And ancient Turkey was ancient Greece, so you get that Greek, that Mediterranean history there. This is a great small ship boutique cruise line, like a river cruise line, but on the ocean. 300 passengers, I think 342 on a Windstar ship. Very lovely. And it's actually a small enough ship, it can fit through the Corinth Canal. So we're actually going to traverse the Corinth Canal during that cruise. Then we get off of that, we go to another small ship cruise line, Azamar. Now this ship is about 700 passengers, a little bit bigger. It's kind of nice to do 2 different cruise lines back to back because you get different food and different entertainment. So it gives you a little bit more variety. And this one is going to go from Athens to you get to go to Sarande, Albania, which is a beautiful beach resort in Albania, and then on to Sicily, 2 stops in Sicily, and then overnight in Salerno, which is the gateway to Pompeii and the Amalfi Coast. So great way to see Europe in 2 trips back to back combined. Now, if you didn't see anything that works for you, go visit our groups page. This is kind of a long thread on how to find it, but if you go to vacationsbysuzanne.com, you look in the middle of the page, you click on groups, it'll show all of my personal agency's promotional groups. And I try to take them out for exciting itineraries, things that are interesting, different, off the beaten path, and get you locked into those really good prices that are only available when the cruise lines launch their pricing. Now, if you go through all that and you still haven't found something, give me a call. We are part of CruiseOne and Dream Vacations, which is the largest retailer of cruises in North America. And we have what they call block space. The cruise lines partner with us to give us pricing that you can't get directly with the cruise line. And it's so many, if you're flexible with your date, I can find you a deal. I'll just tell you that much. I can find you a deal. We need to be booking at least 4 months out, probably 5 or 6 months to be sure. But I always recommend booking about a year in advance. And that's where we're going to get the best pricing with those group rates. So I'm going to sum up my offer. If you book your next Avalon River Cruise or Globus tour, because it could be either one, with us by May 14th, or both, could be both, you receive an additional $50 per person discount for any new Avalon Waterways or Globus booking, just for attending this virtual river cruise event night. And if you're watching this on YouTube, just make sure you book by the 14th and mention the offer, and we'll be sure to have it added to your reservation. So I guess I just want to, ask, do we have any additional questions? We have this lovely view of Rudesheim in the slide that we're looking at. Any additional questions, comments, concerns? Um, you
If you want
have
to
to
ask questions,
unmute
you'll need to
yourself.
unmute yourself.
Okay, I think I'm so thorough in these presentations. We don't have a lot of questions. So I'm going to go ahead and have Steve stop the recording, and we'll be able to post this up to our